the podcast, Duthie's Rubber Boots Podcast. We want to thank you for listening. We're sure you never thought we'd last. Oh no. We're gonna talk nothing, very little sports with your host Jimmy, Jamie, or James. And now you know for sure that it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a blast, oh yes. This is the podcast.
I was legitimately terrified a minute ago as Puff and I were sitting in the studio getting ready to do the podcast, and over Puff's shoulder, standing there, was, I don't even know what you call it.
Yeah,
you look like from the Warriors. Did you ever see the Warriors?
I have.
So,
Come out to play.
This is I guess this is ultimately my ultimates. I was going for Sting, the wrestler.
Okay.
And he had a crow gimmick.
Yeah.
all right, the
So
crow.
this
Yeah,
is
that's
the
what you
crow.
kind of.
So this is
Lester
kind
is
of the
dressed
crow.
all in black.
Yeah.
Black gloves. He's got a baseball bat,
Yeah.
and he's
Sting
got some
signature.
scary kind of
Yeah.
white
White
face.
face. And in these turbulent times, James.
Yes, Lester. I don't think that's appropriate anymore.
Perhaps I will not be here for real next week.
No, we know what you're going for. It's terrifying. And
Yes.
Stoff has a big, giant bear hat on.
Yeah.
So I will post.
He looks like a DJ.
I will post all these. I am dressed as a
I
sportscaster,
was going to say,
Wow.
successful white guy.
Quite stretched. Quite a stretch.
and you are dressed as Puffy.
No,
with
as
a
a,
hoodie and a gambling debt.
No, that's a Starbucks cup.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's unbelievable. I will post all the photos on our Instagram account at Rubber Boots. Is that what the hell it is? At Rubber Boots? I don't know what the hell it is.
Rubber
anymore.
Boots Pod, maybe?
Rubber Boots
Thank
Pod,
you.
Rubber Boots
Thank
Pod.
you. We have really slacked on that. We have
Well, we don't have an intern.
We have to hire this intern quickly.
We're just we're interviewing everyone and no hires.
You know what? I'm dressed as a competent sportscaster today instead of my usual attire, which would be. It's rare that I have the actual shirt and pants on.
Yes.
Because I'm usually dressed like you.
Yes.
Like a bum for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a
Hey.
very special day.
Successful bum.
Very special day here on episode 6 because Bobby Orr.
Number 4.
As soon as I'm done with you clowns, Bobby Orr steps.
Well, hold on. We're not all heading down to interview Bobby Orr.
No, there'll be no questions from Puffy or Lester or Stoff to Bobby Orr. It's just Bobby
Did the song
and
bother
I.
you, Bobby? Did it bother you?
Bobby, which intern would you pick? You think about it. Think about our podcast, though. Our special guests this year have been like Megan Wong,
Yes.
Laura Cope,
Yeah.
the Scotts, intern candidates, and Jeff O'Neill randomly calling in.
Correct.
And now we get to go to Bobby
Paul
Orr.
Bissonnette.
And we go from that to Bobby Orr.
Bobby
good.
Orr.
I
Yeah.
mean, that is a jump. There's no middle ground there.
No.
Right? No offense to our intern candidates.
Yeah, we
love them all.
We should have eased in Bobby.
We love them all. But Bobby freaking Orr.
That's awesome.
Everybody, I have a couple of Bobby Orr stories. I'll just tell one quick one because I love Bobby Orr. I don't pretend to know him well, but I've had multiple run-ins with him on Hall of Fame stuff and everything. And I don't know if you guys have you seen the Hall of Fame, the movie that they play, like the 3D movie?
I haven't seen it, but I know you are part of it.
Right.
Because people have told me.
I'm like I introduce the movie.
Okay.
So I basically do some 30-second intro, and then I take a wrist shot at the camera. It's the 3D thing. And the movie is basically
How many
about...
takes did you have to do? Just kidding.
I think it was a rubber puck, too. The movie is just basically like a pickup hockey game. But there's somebody who's Bobby Orr, there's somebody who's Wayne Gretzky, there's somebody who's Mario Lemieux, and...
They couldn't get the real guys?
I guess they couldn't get the real guys. But so the premiere night, we go in to watch the movie, the premiere, at the Hall of Fame.
How long's this movie?
And it's like 20 minutes or 15 minutes, right? You just go in there. It's part of your Hall of Fame thing. And Bobby is there and sitting next to me. And the game starts. And I guess the Mario or Gretzky character, I can't remember, comes in and gets by Bobby Orr and scores. And it's dark in the theater and all quiet. Bobby Orr leans over to me and goes, -1. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Nice. Can I tell a quick Bobby Orr
Yeah,
story?
yeah, go.
I was doing an event it was at the time of the Rose Cherry Home for Kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, it was my first year, and Bobby was there. I met Don and met Ron and everything. But Bobby was sitting eating, and and somebody took me over to introduce me, which is very nice. And Bobby Orr, eating his dinner, takes his time, stands up, shakes my hand. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, this guy doesn't know me from Adam. He's eating. I'm interrupting him. He stood up, gentleman, shakes my hand. I'll never forget that. Class act.
Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, and I hope now Connor McDavid, and from what I hear, Connor McDavid, they have that special something. They understand what they are, and they do those kind of things, which is fantastic.
It is pretty amazing.
Like Crosby, every Stanley Cup final when he's in there,
It's
he
unbelievable.
always, Bob and I will be standing in a corner somewhere, and we're not the type to go in like with all the things and he'll always come up at least once during the final and spend 10 minutes with us.
Nice.
Just shooting the breeze.
Nice.
Because that's,
and he's always there to do his commitment. He's fantastic.
Unbelievable. And I like, from what I hear, again, Connor, going to be basically the same thing. So Bobby Orr coming up, if we're probably going to pump Bobby Orr when we pump this podcast.
Yes.
So we'll probably have new listeners that have just shown up for Bobby Orr and right away already are saying, who are these clowns?
Yeah. For sure. Where's Bobby?
Where the hell is Bobby? Why am I listening to these guys? It's the Rubber Boots Podcast. It's the podcast where we talk about sports and life and a lot of silly stuff. Lester's our musician, and he's a creep today. He's very terrifying. Puffy is our professional gambler. Stoff is our excellent producer. We have some fun every week. But if you just want to keep fast forwarding, which you're probably already doing right now, and get to Bobby Orr, it's at the end of the podcast. Also, second reason it's a huge week, massive sponsorship news.
Oh, wow.
On the podcast. Of course, we have two great sponsors, iDrinkCoffee.com, who's been there from the beginning, our loyal sponsors. I talked to Slavic the other day. We're going to have a giveaway from iDrinkCoffee.com this season. Right. The Gansevoort, of course, and Turks and Caicos. We love those guys as well. They'll sponsor segments a little bit later on. Two, not one, but two new sponsors
How did you pull it
on
off?
today's podcast. Wow. First one, this is, I like to have a relationship with the sponsors, right?
Yes.
And we like to bring them in. When I listen to podcasts, I fast forward the commercials.
Okay.
I often do that.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to happen. We want our sponsors to be partners. That's why we have Slavic on to talk about soccer.
Yep.
That's why we even, Lester does all the great songs he does for the Gansevoort.
Yes.
People love to listen to those. This is the first one sponsor we've had where it's one of those sponsors you hear on other pods.
Okay.
So, all they want is us to read their commercial, but we're going to do more than that. We got to figure something out.
100%.
All right? Untuck It.
Oh,
have you heard of Untuck It?
Of course I've heard of Untuck It.
First, I'm going to do the mandatory read.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Untuck It are those shirts, right? It's a never a good look when you untuck a long, bulky dress shirt. I am wearing a dress shirt right now without a jacket.
Yes.
I have it tucked in.
Yeah.
I was at a wedding on the weekend. I'll get into that in the week that was. I didn't know what to do when I got on the dance floor. Do I leave it tucked in?
No.
And you look like a 50-year-old geek, man.
Yes.
But when you untuck the shirt at that point, it's a little too long. It's kind of wrinkly.
It's all wrinkly,
I didn't know what to do. I needed my Untuck It shirt. That's why Untuck It makes shirts specifically designed to be worn untucked. A casual shirt that's not too long, not too short. It's just perfect, Puffy. Untuck It shirts are a go-to for any occasion, from casual to dressy, with more than 50 sizing options. That's good because we're all different sizes
we are
on this phone.
I'm different sizes week to week.
Every guy can find the perfect shirt. Go to untuckit.com. Check out all the new fall arrivals. I'm going to get you guys some Untuck It shirts. And then we'll wear them on the pod.
I'll only wear it on the pod.
And we'll look like a boy band.
At weddings.
I'll wear it on stage.
Go to untuckit.com. Check out the new fall arrivals. Use the promo code RubberBoots. So now here, listeners, you need to support the pod. You have to use the promo code RubberBoots. You get 20% off your Untuck It shirt. And you support the podcast because those Untuck It guys in their Untuck It offices are going to say, holy cow, look at all these Rubber Boots guys buying shirts. Visit Untuck It at their brand new first Canadian retail store in Sherway Gardens. I don't know Toronto. That's somewhere down.
Yeah, it's in the West End.
West End, yes.
West End.
No, West End. Not even
Jesus.
Shop online anywhere.
You're like one of those out-of-towners. Everything's on Yonge Street.
Stop hiding your shirt with your pants and your pants with your shirt. Untuckit.com. Use the promo code RubberBoots. So we'll come up with an Untuck It segment. You guys can work on that.
Sure. We'll
Lester, I'm sure will work on an Untuck It song.
Will be,
and we'll be wearing our Untuck It shirts. It's actually, honestly, this is one of those like $1 million ideas I wish I had but never.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm curious to see even the technology on this thing. Look, it looks terrible.
It looks awful.
It looks terrible.
Right? It's an embarrassment.
I would throw you out of an establishment for that.
Because the problem is you get dry cleaning, and then your shirt looks great, you tuck it in, and then as soon as you tuck it out, it looks terrible.
And that's so I pulled it out on the dance floor the other night, and I thought I was looking pretty cool, and was not happening whatsoever. So we welcome Untuck It to the Rubber Boots podcast. Secondly, Look, when you want your hockey information, we want you to go to tsn.ca. Obviously, go to tsn.ca first. But then on your little laptop, you press that little plus button in the corner, which I just found that about 2 weeks ago. By the way, I used to just have to type in the other page.
Fine for.
And you got to go to puckpedia.com.
Puckpedia.com.
So puckpedia.com was this place I was visiting. It's this really cool site. If you're diehard into hockey, and for someone like me that has to know things, it's got all the salary cap information for every single player who's signed to a professional contract with a National Hockey League team, which is 2,000 plus players.
Yep.
If you count the guys just drafted. It has really cool stuff like all the agents. No one's ever done this before. It lists all the agents and how many players they have. So there's like a top 100 agents. Like Pat Brisson's up there with his $1 billion worth of contracts. And
That's awesome.
JP Barry.
That is very good.
So they have all sorts of stuff at puckpedia.ca. And I met this guy, Hart, who runs the site from L.A. Just a guy who...
From Los Angeles.
Loves hockey, lives in L.A., and this was his passion. And so he's just gotten started over the last few months, and it's already doing really, really well. It's the ultimate source for hockey fans and professionals. So it has the salary cap info, the contracts, advanced stats, basic stats. They're going to have questions you can ask the capologist about so you can learn, player dashboard to filter various criteria.
I'd like to know what number Willie Nylander needs to sign at for us not to be screwed.
You can ask the capologist at Puckpedia on Twitter, the one-stop shop for hockey info. We wanted to do better than that. Hart loves the pod, by the way.
Oh, big fan.
He's been listening to the pod for a long time. That's why he wanted to get involved with us. And so Lester came together, and we debuted today the Puckpedia theme song.
Let me tell you about Puckpedia, stats, contracts, and caps. It's all there for you. One-stop shop for your hockey information. It's a new sensation. So log on, log on, log on. If you get the puck, go to puckpedia.com.
Love it. Hart loves
really
the
good.
song,
That's a hit.
Lester.
That's a
How many
hit.
people are in there? There's about 12 people in that.
Well, it's all me, but
That seriously is all you.
that's all me.
Wow, I love how he does that.
It's
The
amazing.
layers.
I know. So we're going to have a Puckpedia segment.
Okay.
And this is the debut of the Puckpedia segment today, which you guys know nothing about.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm going to be
Okay.
the Alex Trebek for the segment.
Going in
Usually
cold.
you make me look stupid with your...
I'd say 1999 Puffy would do better at this than this one.
I'll take
know.
the tits now for 200.
Let it snow. No, it's not. It's a French expression.
So basically, like I said, we're hockey guys. We know most of the
Yes.
players in the NHL. But once you get into the AHL and those contracts, every team's
okay.
got 50 contracts.
Yeah.
It gets a little...
Okay.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to ask you for how much a guy's making or his stats.
Okay.
These are... I'm going to give you 3 names.
Yes.
2 of them are real.
Okay.
1 of them is not real.
Okay.
And you guys are going to have to decide which one is not real.
And these are players in the AHL?
They could be in the NHL. They could be drafted in the
they're
NHL. But
professional
they've
hockey
all
players.
been part of an... They're all one of the... every team gets 50 contracts. They're part of an NHL
Okay, they're on
team.
an NHL deal. Okay.
All right. First up, Connor Bunnaman. Connor Bunnaman, a 6'1", 21-year-old center. The Flyers' 4th-round pick in 2016, Connor Bunnaman.
Okay.
Next up, Chad Bailey, 20 years old, 5'11" left winger, taken by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the 6th round in 2017, Chad Bailey. And finally, Chaz Redekop, 6'3" defenseman, 21, 2015, 7th rounder by L.A. So I did the C's this time. Connor Bunnaman, Chad Bailey, Chaz Redekop. You all have to decide which is the fake hockey player. Who wants to start? Lester, would you like to start?
I'm going to start. First of all, I have to say I love that announcing voice. You're right into the draft voice there. Awesome. Very talented. I'm going to say...
I am a broadcaster.
Well, that's true. Well, I know that. Well, I know
realize
that. I know that. But, I'm just trying to, fluff your pillow.
I used to do the draft, remember?
Yeah, I know.
This is
Like, he used to be the real guy.
closest thing I get to it right now.
I am going to go with C. Chaz
Redekop?
Redekop.
You believe that's made
That's
up?
fake. That's
all right.
fake.
Puffy?
I'm pretty sure Columbus traded their 4th-round pick in 2016. That is a fake pick.
Which one?
Chad Bailey.
Chad Bailey. That's
Yeah.
the 6th-round pick in
6th-round pick.
2017.
Yeah, they traded that for sure.
And Stoff.
I'm going to go with Chad Bailey.
All right.
It sounds like the most real name, so it makes me think you thought of it.
All right. Connor Bunnaman, 6'1", center, 21 years old with the Flyers, is a real person.
Yes. So one of us is right.
One of us is right, one of us is wrong. Chad Bailey, 20 years old, 5'11" left winger taken by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the 6th round, is a fake person.
Yes.
Chad Bailey is the T.J. Miller character in Goon 2.
Of course, that's where
Former
I knew
hockey
I
player.
remember that from somewhere.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite
I could have
movies.
come up, you see, what I should have done is come up with a sillier name that you guys would have said, whoa, that's so crazy that he must have said that was right.
Yeah.
But, I was with Jay Baruchel this week, so I wanted to throw out a throw out to Goon 2. So, I thought you'd buy on Chaz Redicop. That doesn't sound right.
No.
Chaz Redicop, my new favorite player.
He's too young to be named Chaz. That was my thing.
6'3" defenseman.
No.
So there you go. That's our first installment of the Puckpedia.com segment. We enjoyed it heavily.
So is that sort of how we're going to do it?
Well, look, here we can't go forever on names. We by the end we'll be like
I'm gonna
Austin Matthews. So we'll do this for a few weeks. Hart and I were talking. He's got a bunch more names.
Oh, nice.
And I'll do a better job coming up with a silly name next week. And so we'll do it until that runs out, and then we'll come up with something new.
Sounds good.
But the other great thing is, I've always felt, even though we want to be different, we joke about the sports thing. This will find us a way to talk a little bit about hockey in an obtuse way.
Sure,
every single week. Time for the Rod Smith Recap, brought to you by our longest-serving and loyal sponsor, iDrinkCoffee.com.
Middle of the morning, can't keep my eyes open, cause I got to have a cup of jabber. I got to have a cup of jabber. So I better log on to iDrinkCoffee.com. Woo-hoo-hoo. iDrinkCoffee.com.
In episode 5, James and Lester discussed the birthday party they crashed over the weekend.
I'm taking that damn cake, Billy.
And the sip of your pop.
Creepy. Poor kids just wanted to play some pin the tail on the donkey. Speaking of tail, Roddy's weekend was fantastic. Sorry. Stick with the recap, Roddy. Stay focused. Rethink that segue. Speaking of body parts, some thought that the voiceover guy in the Body Parts trailer sounded a lot like Roddy.
Body parts.
To be honest, Roddy's early 90s are a bit hazy. I mean, that could have been Roddy. Or I could have been in a Colombian brothel with the drummer and bassist from Nine Inch Nails. Who knows? I'll invoice for it anyway. Later on, James shared the line he used to throw at the ladies in the clubs.
Are you going to get cremated?
Yikes. Almost as awkward as that time Duthie walked in on Brian Mudrick in the TSN bathroom.
Pure, sweet, butter draw. Make the final.
Meanwhile, Lester helped Duthie brainstorm questions for his upcoming interview with Bobby Orr.
Obviously, you like hockey. Who is your team and why?
And O-Dog called in again, trying to lobby Duthie for a vacation getaway.
What do you think about a couple's trip?
Couples trip? Love it. Roddy just got back from one of those. We had 3 couples. Roddy and Crystal, Roddy and Simone, Roddy and Juanita. Everyone had a great time. Till next week, kids.
There we go.
Oh, he's back.
It was very well done. Christoph, by the way, doing most of the labor now on the Rod Smith recap, and he does a fantastic job on it. A couple things in there. First of all, while that was running, I got a missed call from Jeff O'Neill. Do I call him back or ask him to call us back?
I think you call him back.
How about I say, I'm going to say, sorry, call me back, was busy, and we'll see if he calls back, all right? Call me.
He's
call me back.
Frequent contributor to the pod.
Call me back, was busy. There you go. See what he says. Rod, we mentioned body parts.
Yes.
And I did an event with Jay Baruchel the other night, and body parts came up again as I was, here's Jeff O'Neill. Let's start with that. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, buddy?
You know the difference between me and you is I know people and get done.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you made a joke. Can you get me one of those Red Sox hoodies?
Mm-hmm.
My buddy, his wife's dad owns the Red Sox, so guess what I got coming? A Red Sox hoodie.
We're taping the pod right now, by the way. You're a special guest again.
Oh, sure you are. Yeah. got coffee and whatever is the Ganza support, just putting more money in your pocket.
We got 2 new sponsors this week as well.
Yeah. What do I get out of this?
Have a good day, Jeff. We'll see you tomorrow for the Leafs.
I love how he's bragging about how he gets things done. His brother's friend of a friend. And, ooh, what a contact you got there.
The great thing is, like, we're taping the pod at an odd hour. This week, and he still happens to call. It's just the best ever. So anyway, what was I was teeing up body parts. Let's get to the week that was. Brought to you by the Gansevoort and Turks and Caicos.
Let's discuss the week that was with James Duthie and the Rubber Boots Podcast crew.
It's like book plug week. I don't have any books to plug, sadly, this year, but Bobby's book is out.
Yes.
We should give a plug to that and listen to
Hockey stories?
Everyday Hockey Heroes.
Oh, okay, Everyday Hockey Heroes.
Mostly written by Jim Lang.
I didn't notice
did a couple of chapters.
At the top.
You see, that's what I want to get to that occasion there, where, and this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Put your name on a book. They know it sells more. And so
someone else does the legwork.
Most of the legwork. Bobby does a couple of chapters, promotes the book, and he did come up with a bunch of the ideas. But,
nice.
Kudos to Jim Lang for writing most of that book. And the Bobby Orr has a picture book coming out.
Awesome.
That's why I'm interviewing him today. It's a really cool book, My Life in Photos, and family photos, all this stuff never seen before. So that's really cool. We'll post some of those photos if we can on the Rubber Boots account as well. So when you're following along, listening to the interview, you know what we're talking about. And Baruchel has a book out about being a Montreal Canadiens fan.
Okay.
When he was on the pod, we talked about that. I guess year 1 of the pod, he was a guest with us when Goon 2 was coming out. And it's a really interesting book because it talks about his fandom. His father was a diehard fan. His father ended up being a drug addict and alcoholic who OD'd in his 40s.
Oh, geez.
So that, and I didn't know that either, which was fascinating. So book gets heavy, but it's also really light. He writes hate letters to the Leafs and the Quebec Nordiques and the Boston Bruins and all these teams he hates, and just what it's like to be a Habs fan. And a very cool book. So I did an interview with Jay on Monday night. They have this thing called Puck Talks where a couple hundred people come, and I interviewed Jay for an hour, but we were hanging out backstage, and I said, well, what an opportunity. Jay loves horror movies. He's just made a horror movie called Random Acts of Violence, which is out next year, directed it. Why don't I pitch him on Evil Harvest?
Cold pitch.
So I start pitching him on Evil Harvest, and he stops me halfway. He goes, that's body parts. It's the same thing my producer Bill Dodson said a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, how would you watch that movie? He goes, I watched every horror movie ever. And I'm like, damn you.
So we're done? Like that movie is not happening?
I told him mine's different. It's more nuanced than Body Parts. Body Parts was a stupid movie where they replaced some guy's arm and the arm started killing people. Ours, but I didn't sell him. Jay is not signed on board to be the director.
Unbelievable.
But I feel like I have, if we come up with something else, he's the first guy I could pitch on this stuff.
For sure. He's in the business.
Yeah, he's in the business.
That's how these films get made, guys.
Yeah. Damn straight.
It's
you know
hookups.
what? I also didn't know how Jay got his break. He was in Almost Famous, the great Cameron Crowe.
He was?
movie.
Yes.
He was had a couple of scenes, but key scenes in Almost Famous, where the kid, sort of reporter, he's kind of his buddy.
Oh, he was his buddy. Okay.
Yeah, and then so he was in 2 scenes in that movie, and Judd Apatow, I guess, saw him and said, I want you to audition. And so he's still living in Montreal. He's about to give up acting. He gets in Almost Famous 2 scenes. Judd Apatow goes down in like a day. He gets the lead in a show called Undeclared, which at the time was Untitled Judd Apatow Project.
Yeah.
And boom, off he goes.
And he got hooked up with those, like that crew.
Yeah, and then you suddenly know everybody, and
Wow.
and off you go. So the other funny thing about Jay's book is he talks about they always order Saint Hubert, which is the Quebec version of Swiss Chalet.
I hate it.
And but Jay swears it's 100 times better than Swiss Chalet.
No chance.
But you know how we call Swiss Chalet the Dirty Bird?
Yes.
Unless they sponsor a pod, then we will stop calling them that. They call Saint Hubert pubes.
What? And it's better than Swiss Chalet?
Yeah, he's like, you want to order pubes tonight? That is not a way to order it. Dude.
Yeah, when we were in Montreal for World Juniors, I had some Saint Hubert, and I'm like, this is no Swiss Chalet.
So Jay's book is out. It's called Born Into It as well. So a bunch of book plugs for you this week. What else? I'm going to finish my week that was before I get to you clowns. I went to a wedding, big wedding on the weekend.
Who got married?
It was just the kid of our old neighbor in our Angus Glen neighborhood. You know, the neighborhood with all the
a lot of
yummy mummies and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, there was no inter.
There was a lot of inter stuff.
No, there was not.
For sure.
It was just a neighborhood.
You had to get out of there because you were worried you were going to step outside the boundaries.
There was a lot of young parents who partied a lot.
Yes.
Is what
you know what happens when
say.
the partying happens.
So the next door neighbor has a son, and he got married young. Like, he's 24.
Oh, that's young.
And I think the bride was 21.
Jeez.
But
pregnant?
No.
What the heck are they doing?
Indian-Italian wedding.
Oh, okay.
So she's Italian, and he's Indian. And
I gotta mean, I saw it the other way. When you said Indian-Italian, I thought it would be the other way.
Why? Why did you think
I don't know.
that?
Just in my head it came.
Interesting.
Was there like 1,000 people there?
No, maybe 350 or something like that.
Italians
which
and
is a lot.
Indians, they get big numbers.
You know what's funny though is I haven't been to a young person's wedding like that. Usually people get married these days at 35, 30,
yeah,
right?
Sure. Mid-30s, yeah.
So you got all these like 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old girls and 20 to 23-year-old guys. It's like a club.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they do that thing where they introduce them when everybody's sitting down.
Yeah.
And they have like an announcer guy who's
Yeah.
like, all right, the groomsmen, Bobby Smith, and and they come in with all the choice of music selection.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then the speeches, they were all got really drunk, I think, first of all. The speeches, they were all like wrestling announcers. Like the best man, who's Aaron's brother, Amon, is like... He's doing his thing. And I want to shout out to Nana! That was every speech was like that.
Oh, my God. That would have been awesome.
And even Aaron's doing his speech, and he's like, usually it's that touching moment you talk about the bride.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love this girl. I love this girl. Get up and give her a hand. So a beautiful couple, and I wish them all the happiness in the world.
That's awesome.
So that was wonderful.
That's awesome.
I had a question to ask Puffy about his week that was.
Yes.
Well, two things. First of all, the Arizona-Vancouver bet that I suggested go all in
You
Coyotes.
You did.
Pays off huge for
did
Puffy.
pay off.
Were you proud of me?
It was also a minus 200.
So what would you have won on that? What does that mean?
So I had to put down $220
to
win 100.
Oh.
And I think I might have cashed out early.
Bastards.
But I got I think I won like $80.
Oh. The Green Bay Rams game.
Yes.
Where
Todd Gurley.
Gurley is going in for a touch,
Hero.
2-point lead, and he just bails at the 3-yard line, which I'm not even sure that. I mean, I guess it assures you the victory.
Yeah.
But if you score a touchdown
You're
with
up
20
8.
seconds left, you're up 8-0, so the convert.
You can miss the extra point.
Yeah, but if you hit the extra point, you're up 9.
Yeah, so it's
Also victory.
Yeah, no, also victory.
Yeah.
But I
But
guess
if you miss it, you're up 8, and then
and they have 20
tied.
seconds for a Hail Mary.
Okay.
So I guess it was a brilliant play in a way.
yeah,
And-
brilliant.
but so you bet on the
Well, thankfully, I had 3 large parlays going, which would have paid total, I think, $2,400. But I'd hit everything, but I needed San Francisco to cover by 1.5.
Don't ever bet on my Niners.
And I had the Rams. So thankfully, the Niners choked a 15-3 lead.
Or that would have been
Or
it.
that would have cost me like $2,500, $2,400.
You're going to say $25,000.
I know, I would have
Said,
like.
how much are you gambling?
No,
right
I
now?
would have been in murder one mode for Mr. Todd Gurley.
So was that the highlight of your week?
And then I had a buddy in our fantasy pool. He had Todd Gurley. He lost in a tie.
Oh my goodness!
So if he had ran even one more yard before taking a lean knee, he
But
wins.
good on Todd Gurley to say,
No,
screw you,
no,
fantasy
not good
football.
It's
winning.
It is about
all that
entertainment. Entertainment and gambling.
Okay,
That is how that league has been built. You cannot screw gamblers and entertainment like that. This is not a league like football. Doesn't matter about winning and losing. It matters about covering the spread and fulfilling the gambler's wishes.
It's entertaining for us. I'll say you that.
These people are like, oh, that's the right play. The right play is to score touchdowns, cover overs.
It's so rare that somebody would do that, though, because usually every guy's thinking about his own stats, and he's going to take every advantage to get another touchdown. Is it 180 degrees in here? Is it just because I'm in my suit? We're not in our normal studio today because of our odd timing. Those radio jerks kicked us out. So it is boiling in here. It's hot. And I'm just wearing my non-untucked shirt. That's why I have to get an untucked shirt. Also very cool in hot conditions.
Absolutely. I was angry about that.
So was that the highlight or low light of your week?
Low light. Highlight, Austin scored his first career goal last night.
Hey, Austin is your
6-year-old.
6-year-old.
Yeah, so
right.
he scored his first career goal,
That's
a little
amazing.
backhand.
How excited was Dad and Mom?
Mom missed it.
Oh my goodness.
She had to work late, so she was beside herself. But Barrett and I were like laughing. We couldn't believe it. We were both in shock.
Now, do they have? Is that one where goalies are like you have a different goalie?
No, they had the real goalie in the thing.
Legit.
Yeah, it was a legit goal.
Yeah,
he scored in like house league and stuff, but their games aren't that legit. This one was a legit one.
Oh, so like it's a rep or a select?
Yeah, select game. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you've ruined my story saying they're not legit, but
No, not saying it's not legit, but the way they play house league now.
No, I know
they
you're
don't.
right.
They don't even do face offs or anything like this. Basically, it's like a glorified scrimmage.
Okay,
At our league, yeah.
so same thing with my son. Now they had goalies in, so he's 6 or whatever, playing his first house league game. And once you rotate the goalies between the whole team, everybody gets a weekend as goaltender, right?
Okay, no, I still do that.
Right, but you're right. After a goal, they put the puck behind the net, and the other team just gets to bring it out.
Yeah.
So I got my big, this is how old I am, the video camera back then, and my son scores 4 goals on his first shift.
Unbelievable.
And it was just like goal. Because they had that like that A line, B line, C line BS.
Yeah.
And they had him on the B line when really he should have been on the A line. And so that got adjusted. The first game he gets 7 goals. I'm like, whoo, I got the greatest player ever.
I am going to be
Rest of the season, 1 goal. Once he gets on the A line. How was your week, Lester?
my week was good. A little trip down to upstate New York for a show with Elton Ron, but everything was good. Came back, wrote some music, including Puckpedia thing, so it's all good.
All right. You got Untuck It already working on your brain,
We're
don't
working
you?
on Untuck It right now,
So
too.
maybe we should have a brainstorm. Untuck It. You know what rhymes with that? We probably shouldn't use.
Well, same thing that rhymes
Tuck it,
with puck,
untuck
right?
it.
Yeah, no, you're sitting. How about this? All those other shirts can untuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You fill it in. I don't like to swear on the pod. All those other shirts can
it.
untuck it. Right?
I don't know if that works.
Well, wouldn't suck it be better?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
All those other shirts can suck it.
we
untuck
like
it.
to rock,
we like
untuck it.
All right. There you go. There's just some ideas.
Yeah.
I'll take that
Ideas
all.
from you.
I'll take that all under advisement.
Are your Stoff and Puffy are the only ones who have Halloween kids of age? I mean, Lester's got some spread out. Mine are too old. Are your kids all pumped, excited? It's Halloween, by the way. When we're taping this, you'll hear it probably on the weekend. But
Yes, Austin, my youngest, is going as Dash from The Incredibles.
Nice, very
and
nice.
I am surprising him by going as Mr. Incredible.
oh, look at you! You are Mr. Incredible
Yes,
for
so
doing
he's
that.
gonna lose his mind when I come down with the costume.
And your other son?
Barrett's so lazy and stuff, so he picked the costume like 2 days ago.
The
And there was
old-
nothing
the
left.
ghost thing?
So he's like, I don't know. He's got a skeleton mask. He's
Right.
got a sword.
Mailing it in.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, so this is truly terrifying. You're breaking the news to me.
I forgot. I thought Stoff had.
Stop at kids.
Oh, I
At
thought
least
he-
5 of them.
I thought he had like a little 2-year-old or something.
No.
Oh dear!
I should check
We've been
on
doing,
that
We've
if
been
I
together.
did.
We've been doing together 3 years. I've known Stoff for 8 years. I just kind of assume all my married friends have little kids. Wow!
That's
See,
hilarious.
we learned a lot today. The more you know.
I'm like, Stop has kids?
Oh, I miss Halloween. That was my favorite in our family.
You were a
was
big
my
Halloween
favorite.
guy?
Oh yeah, I think we talked about this on the pod. I used to do crazy stuff at my house. My favorite ever. There was 2 things I did. Once I dug a ditch in my house. This is back in the neighborhood we were just discussing with all the young families.
For the sex party?
No, I didn't dig a ditch for the sex party. I dug a ditch right next to my sidewalk, covered me in leaves, and I was in like a ghoul. And as the kids would walk by, I would reach out and grab their ankle.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was
What's
terrifying.
wrong with you?
Don't do that around 10 because you'd have some teenagers peeing on you.
I know. You probably couldn't do this stuff now. Equally as good.
Should have done it then.
We
Yeah, probably. It's not that long ago, Jimmy.
we took a table.
Yeah.
I had this like table in my garage. I cut a hole in the table with a saw. Then I cut a hole in the Halloween basket, and we covered with the table with a big sheet.
Yeah.
And I was under the table, and so we had it outside on the front porch. So when the kids came up and said, "Just reach in and grab what you want," So they'd reach into the bowl and my hand would grab them from underneath through the bowl and yank their arm. I terrified children. Kids would come by like in years after that and go, they'd run by our house. Daddy, that's the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Can I have some of your ice cream?
And now we do nothing because no kids come to once you live in the compound.
Exactly.
They don't get within a mile of that place.
Do the kids, your kids go out? Or like, do they go to parties or anything?
Gracie might have gone out. Like Gracie's 15 now. I think she might have gone out last year, but we said it was the last year. She likes to get the dogs dressed up, which I hate dressing up the dogs, but the kids like it. So we got one pumpkin outfit for the fat French bulldog, and then we got a cop outfit for the skinny Boston Terrier, and we'll take them for a walk. And my daughter gets excited out of that thing. So there you go. Anyway, that is the week that was. Stoff, your week? Anything?
Other than not having kids, no. But that was quite the development.
It was a big revelation. Did you wear that bear head all day, like during your morning radio show?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Were
It's a
you
little
sweaty?
hard to operate. Yeah, the temperature wasn't so much the problem. It's just I can only see if I look out one of the eyes. So.
Were you guys fans of the Kids in the Hall? They had a character named
Dave's. I like that song.
No, a character called Cabbage Head.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was one of the Daves. It was a great character. His name was Cabbage. His top of his head was a cabbage. And so one Halloween I went out as Cabbage Head. So it's like a sleazy guy in a suit smoking a cigar with a cabbage head. And so I had a real cabbage that I put out. It's like your cabbage is your hair more than anything else. And I went to this party, and I think might have been still, I don't know if I was single at the time or maybe I was.
Oh, you were probably single.
But that cabbage started to reek about halfway through the night.
Oh.
Cabbage goes bad really fast. And you want to dance? No. You smell like rotten cabbage. The week that was brought to you by the Gansevoort and Turks and Caicos.
You work too hard, you need a vacation, so be like Jimmy and go to Turks and Caicos. Luxury and class of 5-star resort, you must book the Gansevoort. A nice villa at the Gansevoort. Come to the Gansevoort.
Jimmy's faced with a dilemma. He got an email this week that the 2-bedroom at the Gansevoort has come up for sale, the exact one that Jimmy wanted.
Ooh, Jimmy.
Boy.
It's a big investment, though.
But Jimmy, it's worth it. What could go wrong?
Probably not much. It's
Exactly.
Fantastic investment.
Great spot.
I don't want any of my listeners to snag it up before.
That's true, because I think we have a pretty wealthy listener.
That's right. No intern this week. Just because we're a little pressed today. I got to do my Bobby Orr interview in about 10 minutes, so we got to get done this thing.
Here we go.
We'll start more vetting next week. We'll continue the vetting process.
Yes.
Another candidate, Zach Phillips, who is the only candidate I have met in person.
Oh, you have?
Zach Phillips, I guess, went to my kid's high school. There's no favoritism. He has his own podcast. He submitted quite an extensive resume. And Zach Phillips, I've been on his podcast.
Oh, really?
Although I think he had his laptop stolen and it never aired or something like that. So, some horrific, sad story. But Zach Phillips will be our internship candidate next week. Scott Reynolds and Scott Erlinson have been waging a bit of a war.
What are the Scotts?
You know. Yeah. Scott Erlinson sent me another email this week carving Laura Cope. It was just like saying Laura Cope's a great person, but this is what I can do that Laura Cope can't. So they're the most intense competitors so far.
They want to win.
And
They're like those guys in The Bachelor who aren't there for the right reasons, but they want to win. So they're like pulling out all the stops.
By the way, Scott Reynolds tells me he has more episodes of 1999 Puffy on the way.
Oh, nice.
But you guys, it's campaign time in the States, too, with the midterms coming up next week.
Very important election.
More in the States than Canada, but it's happened recently in Canada. You have those campaign ads, they're attack ads,
Yes.
where they praise themselves and then they go after their opponent.
Yeah.
So Scott Reynolds this week decided to do an attack ad on Scott Erlinson. So here it is.
Last week, intern finalist and Alberta resident Scott Erlinson managed to untie his panties about how much worse Connor McDavid is than Austin Matthews for long enough to make an appearance on the Rubber Boots podcast. Unfortunately, he used this opportunity to spread misinformation about his internship rival, Scott Reynolds, who is widely known to be worldly, multi-talented, and a generous lover. Erlandson claimed to have confronted Scott on Twitter, when in reality, he sent him a message saying, and I quote, "Hey man, heard you on Rubber Boots the other week. Just wanted to say you did a wicked job. Loved the songs. Cheers." End quote. Meanwhile, internship candidate Scott Reynolds is working hard to raise the international profile of the podcast. For example, that beautiful Bulgarian girl he took out to dinner on Tuesday last week. She had never even heard of the podcast. He may not have gotten a second date, but he might have gained one new listener. That's dedication. So Erlandson, I've only got 2 words for you. Train this.
He can't see you.
What?
This is a radio spot. He can't see you grabbing your sack when you say that.
Well, it's implied, okay? Shut up. I'm Scott Reynolds, and I approve this message. Your move, face.
He got a little intense at the end. That is brilliant. Is it dangerous to us when we realize that one of our internship candidates is more creative than us?
Way more creative.
And puts way more importantly, puts way more effort into the podcast
Yes, he does.
than we do?
I'm a big fan of his.
We'll see if Scott Erlandson has a response next week. It's time for Puffy's Hypotheticals.
Puffy's hypotheticals, who really gives a crap? All the ladies want to hear is the Rod Smith recap. Blah, 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 blah. Roddy is the best. The best.
Puffy, all right. We're 5 minutes away from the Bobby Orr interview.
So I have a Bobby Orr hypothetical.
Why? That is perfect. You've tied in and segued to the end of the
Very
podcast
nice.
perfectly. What is
Just
it?
says we don't work on this pod.
How many years off your life would you give to be as good as Bobby Orr is at hockey?
So you're starting your life over essentially.
Yeah, we'll say you're 18 years old.
and you're now Bobby Orr abilities.
Yeah, and you will live to at least 45.
Ugh.
Well, Bobby Orr's 70, so you could be. Oh, but okay. Oh,
Yeah.
You have to. You lived, so you can't say 60 years. I would take his 20s and be gone.
Yeah.
But you're giving up years off your life.
Yeah, every season you give up a year.
Wow. No, you're asking us how many years we'd give up.
Yeah.
You can't set a math formula.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
Yeah.
you mean. So he plays 20. Are we going to have Bobby Orr's knee issues and have our careers cut short? We don't know.
We don't know.
You just
You're
have
gonna
the
have his ability.
You're 18 with his ability right now. Lester, you want to start? You're a big hockey guy.
And I could own at least 45?
Yeah, you're going to get at least 45.
I get
So if you said 10 years, you
I
could
have
be
trouble
dead at
with these
35.
giving up years
Yeah,
questions
me
because
too.
I don't like giving up years of my life.
No, what am I going
but
to again?
Bobby Orr's talent isn't
Why don't
exactly
you-
for
why don't
free,
you-
Jimmy. Got to give something to get something.
I think, again, you're not really interested in the talent as much as everything else that will bring you in your life.
Well, I would like to live Bobby Orr's off season. It was quite good in the 60s.
Okay, Lester ponders. I'll give up 10 years of my life. So if the average age of a male is 80 per se, I don't know what it is. Let's say it's 80 for a healthy male in Canada. I would die at 70 to have Bobby Orr's life. But it's tough. I don't want to I'm not going to give up 50 years or something to have 20 years of greatness. I mean, then you got to give up everything I've had, Puffy.
That's true.
Jesus.
Well,
I mean, the question is, how many years of your life would you give up for mine?
See, Jimmy? Ooh, that's pretty tough.
Or even Lester's
I
to be
know.
on stage
It's true.
like
I
that.
know.
Just to play the music.
Or be in Staff and not having any kids.
I know. And a bear head.
and a bear head.
You know, it's funny. We joke, but I mean, I played this wicked cool gig on Monday night, and I had to come back to my desk job the next day. It was tough.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're a rock star for a
See,
night.
it's a tough question for us, too, because Lester and I have such fabulous lives.
It's true. Well, what are you saying about mine?
Well, we know you're all going to end up being murdered by gamblers.
Your bookie.
My bookie's the internet.
I'm gonna just to speed this along. I'm gonna say 7 years.
7 years.
So you give up 7 years.
7 years
Yeah.
of your life to have Bobby's thing.
Yeah.
Puffy?
I give up 14 years of my life.
Wow.
I want to
14
make sure
years.
I want to get through free agency. I want to get that second big contract.
Wow.
He's like, you're gonna probably like 7 years. You're not even gonna get to free agency, Lester.
Well,
I don't understand the correlation you're making right now. 7 years for you're giving a 14.
7 years. You give up 7 years of your life.
For 7 years. So you'll give up 14.
Oh,
See, I kind of figured you give up. Wait a second, 10 years.
So every year you give every year.
This is the most confusing hypothetical I've ever done.
No, every year that you give up, you get 1 year of Bobby Orr's ability.
Oh,
you don't get it for forever.
Oh, so at 30, I just thought you got to be Bobby Orr, but you had to. That's.
But your life's cut short. That's what I.
But your life's cut short.
You only get for every year.
You get to lead a Bobby Orr type life, but then you have to cut it off.
No,
what if
his ability?
Okay, I get that. So I'll stick with 10. I want 10 years of Bobby Orr's.
So you get to be really good at hockey for 10 years.
Right, but then I'm losing 10 years of my life.
And you lose 10 years of your life, and then you're not good at hockey anymore.
Okay, so what about if you did it my way? You get to lead Bobby Orr's entire life. A Bobby Orr type skillage and all the millions it would bring you and all of that other stuff. How much of your life would you give up to live that life?
Well,
would you die at 60? Would you be content dying with 60 if you led Bobby Orr's life?
Yeah, probably.
But again, your children play into it then. Yeah. Grandkids, you see?
I'd see my children. I wouldn't see my grandkids.
Right. Well, take children out of the equation. Make it a Stoff question. No kids involved. No kids involved. You don't have a wife. You haven't met the beautiful Tanya yet. You don't have any children.
I'd probably go.
We're giving you the scenario. You're 18-year-old Puffy. 1999 Puffy.
I think I would give 35 years.
Whoa!
Wow.
So you would die, under my math, at 55 to lead that 18 to 55 years of glory.
No, 45, Jimmy. Your math 45. Is terrible.
Did I? 80? Oh, yeah. 45. You're done at 45.
45, yeah.
See,
one more year.
I'm still sticking with only 10 years on that.
I'm staying with mine.
So
my bare head's spinning as to I'm not really sure what this question is anymore. Do I choose what years I take off of my life?
No. It's the end.
If I don't want to go to school at the beginning of my life and just start at
No. It's only the end.
Yikes. Oh, not too many. I mean, how many years do I need on top of the world? I'll say 5 as Bobby Orr, and then
I see.
Then
I duck out at 75. I'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
He's going to have a rookie deal.
Stoff's onto something because really, okay, it's 18. I'd like to go to 25, like Lester said, 7 years. You get, 7 great years being that. Then you just want to settle down and play golf.
You want like 12 years. You want to go to at least your 30.
But look, I mean, how many did Bobby play, actually? Right? So, you know what I
mean? Look, just because I have to interview him for 5
edit in
minutes,
number now.
I would say Bobby played like 9 great years.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then, obviously it ended really just because of the injuries poorly. And
I wonder how many years Bobby Orr would take add to his career to be healthy.
Honestly, I think it's
take off his life to add
to his career.
I think he played from 68 to 70.
66 to his last year was 78, 79, but he didn't play in 77, 78. So with the Bruins,
he was a Blackhawk, right? Right.
Yeah. I think about 12 good years with the Bruins, and then the Blackhawks. And he played 26 games total with the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Anyway, good question.
Not really.
No, not your best, but I know
really.
I wrote you a text last night and said, give me something Bobby Orr to lead us into Bobby Orr. So I kind of threw you from your usual,
I had a pretty good $1 billion one.
Oh, yeah?
No. Save it for next week.
Save it for next week. So anyway, the My Story in Pictures Bobby Orr book, check it out. And this is a huge thrill as we end the pod today with an interview with the greatest defenseman.
Say hi for us.
A lot of people would argue the greatest player of all time, Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr behind the net to Sanderson. Orr! Bobby Orr! Scores in the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
So you've been the subject of countless books over the years, but this one, and maybe it's the photos, just seems really personal. Why this book? Why now?
Well, I did the book 2 years ago. That was more biography, whatever you call it.
Right.
Yeah, more writing. I was visiting with my sister Penny. When my parents passed, my sister Penny had the boxes of photos, and I'm going through the photos, and I'm amazed. I was amazed at the photos that my parents took 80 years ago. It was unbelievable. And my dad was in the Navy, and he's got photos on the ship. And you imagine today trying to get a camera on a warship. Right. So I'm looking at the photos, and I had a ton of photos at home myself. And the guy by the name of Nick Garrison, who you know, your friend Nick, wanted to do a photo book. And I first said no. I didn't want to do another book. I didn't want to travel and so on and so forth. But I'm looking at the photos, and I saw some photos of old friends like Billy Spear and Johnny Pye, and you know, the old teammates, and guys like Ross Johnson and guys who helped me through the years, and we had really nice photos of them. So I said, you know, maybe I will do this. So I put it together with some wonderful photos of my parents way back before, I think some before they were even married.
And that's kind of the cool part, because it looks like you're looking through an Orr family photo album.
Well, that was what we hoped we would do, and we went through the years from growing up in Parry Sound and Oshawa and so on and so forth. So I'm really happy with it. I've got some of my dear friends in there, Mike Duble. Mike Duble was my first roommate in Oshawa. And I was homesick. He lived in Penetang. I lived in Parry Sound. I was homesick. He was lovesick.
What was her name?
Yeah, Carol, and they're still married. So we'd be out on the highway hitchhiking to go home to see our families. And in the book, it's got...
Wait a second, you hitchhiked home?
Yeah, from Oshawa. We would hitchhike.
After you played the games?
We didn't have cars, and we weren't supposed to. We were supposed to stay in Oshawa. So we said, you know, we're going home. Anyway, we have in the book, we have photos of Mike and I in uniform, and then as my first roommate. And then I was the best man at his wedding, and I went to his 50th anniversary. The point being, friendship, and Mike never played in the pros. And the point
friendship
being, lasts
a lifetime.
I mean, that's what sports can be, and that's what I think some parents have to look, even in minor sports. Those can be friendships forever, and that's what Mike and I were. And then we had Johnny McKenzie. In the old days, the guys worked in the summertime. We didn't train like they do today. Or Johnny McKenzie, there's a great photo in there of Johnny. He worked at rodeos. And he's roping a calf. He's coming off his horse, roping a calf. And that's what Johnny did. Billy Spear, who we picked up late in the 70s before the playoffs in a trade, he was our clubhouse barber. In the summertime, he was a barber.
Wow.
And Billy is in there, and on and on. So there's a lot of stories to the photos.
You mentioned Oshawa. You commute in there on weekends as a 14-year-old to play for the Generals, playing against guys as much as 5 years older than you. And you say that they trash talked you. What kind of things would they say?
I was still in public school, so they would tell me to go back to grade 8. You know, they were just seeing if I'd hang in there. And
did you shoot back at them?
No, I would never have done that. I didn't talk to anyone back then. The only thing that saved me through going in there so young is that I could skate. And if I couldn't have skated the way I did, I would have been in deep trouble, because they tested you. The same as when I turned pro at 18. You were tested, or I was tested.
What did they say then?
Oh, nothing. They would just hit me a lot and try to engage me. But I had to stand up, and I stood up. But early on, you know, when I went to my first training camp in Niagara Falls, see, Niagara Falls and Oshawa were both owned by the Bruins, so they had the Niagara Falls training camp. I mean, Murat was there, Favell was there, Dougie was there. So I got beat up pretty good there, though, in that camp.
Let's get some of the photos. Number 4, Bobby Orr, is this rhyme that we slid off our tongues for generations now. And on page 4 of your book, there's Bobby Orr, number 4. But you wore number 2 in minor hockey with Oshawa. Number 2 was taken when you got to the Bruins. Why number 4?
You didn't request a number. If they handed you a sweater, you took it.
But you wore 27 in the training camp.
I wore 27. I wore 30. I wore 1.
And then they just gave you 4?
I didn't have, when I was told in those days, we trained in London, Ontario, at Treasure Island. And as the training camp was ending, the general managers would be calling the players in and telling them where to go. They called me in and told me to go back to Boston to finish training camp, because training camp was 3 or 4 weeks then. And when I left there, I didn't know I was going to be number 4. Opening night, went to my stall, and it was number 4 there. But I didn't request a sweater.
You think somebody in that organization was smart enough to go number 4 Bobby Orr?
No. And don't forget, in those days, the defensemen normally wore the low numbers.
Right.
You know, they tried to put the defensemen in the low numbers. But
Boy, it's hard
when
to
I left
believe.
training camp, I didn't know I was going to wear number 4.
Just be so different if it was 27 or something these days. Your goal celebrations, they range from humble, like this one against the Atlanta Flames, where you basically do nothing, a spectacular goal, and then just bend over.
I mean, I do nothing.
Well, on the celebration.
I mean,
and then, of course, the historic, this one we all know, the game winner in the to the Stanley Cup. But for the most part, your goal celebrations were very subdued.
Yeah.
Were you trying intentionally to not show up your opponents?
No, I just didn't think that was a thing to do. I mean, but for those players that want to celebrate in different ways, I'm not criticizing them either. That was the way I was. That's the way I wanted to celebrate. That's the way I always celebrated, and I wasn't going to. The most emotion I ever showed was the overtime goal. But a dream was about to come true. You know, when
yes, that was justified.
Yeah, that was.
What do you think of today's sellies, which often are more choreographed? You think of Kuznetsov, who does the bird thing, and one of your clients, Austin Matthews, did the ear thing in Chicago. Patrick Kane answered, which was very cool. But what do you think of those?
I'm not. I mean, the NHL. We go to our All-Star game. What do? Guys come out dressed up. So it's entertainment. I'm not going to sit here and criticize a player or a team for celebrating in a different way, because I didn't celebrate that way. Everyone is different, and they're trying to sell the game. It's like there's the big controversy now in Carolina.
With their winning. What do you think of that?
It's a little different. But they do wait till the team gets off the ice.
Right.
The opponents get off the ice. So, I mean,
like you say, it's for the fans.
We're trying to the Carolina thing is for the fans, absolutely. And we're trying to promote our game. The league does at our All-Star game with a lot of things that goes on, which is fine. We're trying to sell the game. So
I couldn't have ever imagined, though, Bobby Orr putting on a costume and doing some shootout thing.
That was my way. I wouldn't have done it. I probably would not have done it, but that was the way I was. Some of the guys, well, that's fine. I'm not going to criticize them for doing that.
For hockey geeks like me, one of the cool things in the book is behind-the-scenes photos with your equipment in the dressing room, outside the dressing room. Your stick. You started with a fully taped stick, and then by the end of it, you have one little piece of tape. How did you end up at the end with, what was the point of that?
I wish I had a real good story for you. I started off, as you say, with tape, but in the end, I had no tape. I mean, I just
Did you slowly cut off piece by piece as you went through the years?
I went from, I think, fully to the one or two rolls. I just like the feel. I mean, I wish I had, you know what, I should make up a story. I really should make it.
That's what books are for.
Let's make up a good story. It's like I didn't wear socks in my skates.
Right.
And the reason I didn't wear socks in my skates, when I was playing junior, you know, we had one pair of socks. We didn't have extra socks like they do in the pros, and they forgot my socks, so I didn't wear socks and felt fine, and I never wore socks again.
When my son was 7 years old, his first rep team, there was a kid who didn't wear socks. And all the kids were looking at him like it was funny. And he said, that's because my dad told me Bobby Orr never wore socks.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to that father.
If you were playing today with medical science the way we know it is, how much longer do you think you could have played the game?
I have no idea how much longer I could play. I certainly, with the technology today, I certainly would have had a chance to play longer. Back then, if you had the symptoms of a cartilage or a ligament, the big cut, and
it's 3 years though, 5 years.
Every time they open it, it weakens it. So, but with the scope today, and I started getting scopes later on, but it was long after a few of the big cuts. Who knows? I really don't know. All I know is I love my time playing. I was being paid to play a game. I love the Bruins. I never, even through injuries, I never lost my love for the game. It gave me so much, friendships, people who are so good to my family, and so on and so forth. It's been great. Would I do it all over again the same way? I probably would. I'm a little bit stubborn. I probably would have played the same way. And, you know, I played a game there's a lot of hitting. If you handle the puck a lot in our game, you're going to be hit a lot. So I was hit a lot. So my style certainly didn't help my play.
Yeah, we'll get to more on that in just a second. The Leafs were prominent in your history. Marcel Provenot, first injured your knee.
Yep.
Pat Quinn almost incited a riot.
He did.
In Boston. Well, okay, it was a riot then. You had a 6-point game against the Leafs as well. Did you get extra revved up to play against your home province team throughout your career?
I think any of the teams, even today, coming to Maple Leaf Gardens is big for them. Most of the teams have a lot of local players. I loved coming into Toronto. I loved going into Montreal. I always knew they were going to be tough games, but I loved coming into the old Maple Leaf Gardens to play. I was a Leaf fan.
That's who you cheered for growing up in Paris?
Growing up, my grandpa, we used to watch the Leafs. He said he didn't like the Leafs, but I think he was a closet Leaf fan. He really was. But no, we grew up watching the Leafs, Foster U at Hockey Night in Canada. And I was a Leaf fan. Allen and Brewer and Stanley and Brewer did it. Yeah, I was a Leaf fan.
You just spoke of the way you played the game and that you wouldn't change it, but a lot of people believed your courage was a curse. Let's listen to Pat Quinn for a second.
In a way, you'd almost say, oh, Bobby, I wish you weren't that brave because we would have had you longer.
Is he right? I mean, you say you wouldn't change anything, but if you could do it over, would you be a little less reckless, more careful?
I don't know how you stop that. How do I... The way I played from the time I was a squirt, I played that way.
But you see players like Taylor Hall nowadays said he had to stop, going in quite as hard because he was crashing to the boards and getting hurt. Could you have done anything differently?
No, I'll admit I was a little reckless sometimes, trying to sneak by on the boards. With the Pronovo check, that was a legit check. I just was dragging my leg trying to sneak by him. That was the first injury when he had, but that wasn't a vicious hit. I don't remember ever being hurt, taking a vicious hit and then say, oh, I've hurt my knee. I don't ever remember that. It's just wear and tear. One time I stepped off a chair and the knee just buckled. One time we're in Detroit and in the old Olympia, you used to have to step up over and onto the ice, and I went up like that and my knee locked. So it was, obviously it probably came from hits over time.
But there wasn't that moment where you're...
bang where I knew, boy, I hurt my knee. No. With Marcel I did, but that was just dragging my leg.
It's an anniversary. Exactly 40 years ago, you played your final game in the National Hockey League, November 1st, 1978, against the Vancouver Canucks. Before that game or during that game, did you have an inkling this was the end?
I didn't know for sure it was going to be that night, but I knew it was close. I was really struggling. I knew it was close. And then after that game, some things happened in the game where I couldn't turn. Just things I couldn't do anymore that I used to do.
Was there one particular play you remember?
No, I don't remember the player or a play, but I just couldn't get there. The strength of the knee, and I knew it was coming for a few games. I just had to get it, and the things called it, hey, it's time. And but I remember it clearly. But it wasn't just all of a sudden. No, I have to quit. It was coming.
Daryl Sittler said, though, you were better on one leg than everybody else on two. You obviously disagreed with that comment. Was it still a tough decision to retire?
Oh, it's always a tough decision. I wasn't very old either.
30?
Yeah, I was 30 years old, but I hadn't played in a couple of years, or much in a couple of, I think, 26 games. It's always a tough decision when you have to go. When you have to say I'm finished.
No, they're going to force me out of here.
Well, I heard that. It's always a tough decision when you have to stand and say, yes, it's over. They're taking my skates. Difficult, yes. The difficult part was, what am I going to do? And now I have to go to the WORK. I have to go to work. And oh my God. But I had some wonderful friends that supported me and helped me along the way. And thank God for them. I didn't have a lot when I retired. But I had some friends that, the Ross Johnsons of the world were just great friends and really helped me out.
And you found a way to stay in hockey too, right?
Yeah, I stayed in hockey a little bit, and my family were, poor Peggy.
She's like, well, this is the way it's going to be for the next 40 years? You're going to be around all the time?
Really?
I know you hate what ifs, but but this one's too irresistible. If you had made it to the next season, you would have played Wayne Gretzky in his first game in the National Hockey League, October 10th, 1979. That might be one of hockey's great what-ifs. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine you two on the ice together, what that would have been like?
Yeah, I can imagine. It would have been great. I mean, I have great respect for Wayne and his game. What he's done, as we were talking earlier. And to me, this is greatness. Often when I talk to kids, I'll ask the question, you ever seen Wayne Gretzky play? And most of them have. I said, have you ever seen him play a bad game? No. I mean, players like Wayne, they always do something. They may have some off games, but they always do something. Say, woo, puts you on the edge of your season. That's what was so great about Wayne. But it would have been, I did play a game with Wayne, by the way.
What was that?
It was a benefit game in Winnipeg, a fundraiser for Billy Heindel, and he and I played together.
What year? Was he?
What year?
Well, what was he done? Was he playing?
Oh, no, he was still playing.
Oh, really?
And I had retired, but he was still playing.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a photo somewhere of us together beside on the bench.
Wow.
That's as close as I got to Wayne on the ice.
Your teammate Johnny Busick said you had 16 levels of fast. Scotty Bowman says of your client Connor McDavid that he has another level of fast from everybody else. When you see McDavid score a goal like the one he scored Tuesday night, that has to give you some flashbacks to you. Come on.
No, are you kidding?
But that difference in speed from you and everybody else is similar to Connor and everybody else.
You really think that I can do some of the, I mean, I may have some speed and I can skate with the puck. Well, what this kid does, are you kidding me? I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't.
And you know what they said when you came into the league? We've never seen anything like it. I know you're humble,
we were different. No, I mean, we were different kinds of players too. I don't know, more of a bull, whatever you want to say, or whatever.
But the way you flew by, you could take it from end to end like that, and the gap between you and the rest, to me, was similar to the gap between McDavid and the rest right now.
But I don't think there's anybody that from standstill, Connor with the puck, with the puck. It's different with the puck than without the puck. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody from standstill, and you just can't. Nobody. I haven't seen anybody catch him.
He's one of those guys who's faster with the puck, and I've always, when they say that about people, how can you be faster with the puck than skating without it? Yeah. It's remarkable.
If I was coaching, especially kids, I would never let them do drills without the puck. Make them do drills with the puck, because it's different. It's hard. But there's a kid that's got a passion for the game, a love for the game. He wants to go out every night. We all have levels we play at. You know, he's different. He's way up here, but he plays at that level every night. As Matthews is going to, as our great players. You know, Wayne did, Mario did, Sid does. Sid's special. Yeah, he's special.
You mentioned Austin, who had this great start to the season before the shoulder injury, and some people have compared him to Jean Beliveau. I'm not going to make you do one of the comparisons, but how do you describe his game?
I first of all will say that I think before Austin's finished, he's going to be talked about like one of the great Leafs. I think he's going to be that kind of player. I think Austin's a player that you can put in any situation. He's going to score. He's going to be dependable defensively. And I think Austin's going to be one of the great Leafs. I really do. I think he's comparing him to anybody. I mean, I don't like comparing players. They're their own. You know, I was me. He. You know, I just don't like doing that. But Austin's going to be getting back healthy, and the Leafs are going to be fine.
You know what's amazing with this generation that's grown up, they never really saw Bobby Orr play, and yet you're still relevant. And I knew this because I got a call in the summer, and it was from management of the Foo Fighters, who were doing a concert in Boston, and they said they wanted to wear this T-shirt that they had designed.
Right here, Steve.
This T-shirt that they had designed. And I called Bob McKenzie, and he called you, said, because they wanted your permission. They weren't going to put this. They said, would this be okay if we wore this in Boston? And I think your answer was, yeah, that's cool. It is kind of cool, isn't it?
And he's just giving me my shirt, my T-shirt.
I was supposed to give this to you.
He was keeping them for himself.
They sent it to me, and I was supposed to give it to you, and I never did. I feel awful about that, but they got the Foo Fighters face, of course, on you. But there you go. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That is cool.
I got one more question for you, because this is a book about photos. We picked our favorite photo, and it's this one with you and Sil Apps and these gigantic gloves. gloves.
Who won that game, by the way?
Well, that's the great part, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like just pure happiness at the end of a tournament between the both of you.
Yeah.
That's our favorite photo. Do you have a favorite from the book?
I have a lot of. I love them all. But as we spoke earlier about the early ones, my parents had. I hadn't seen some of those. They really. I mean, it was incredible to see those. So I've got to say, but many of them were with my dad presenting Terry Fox, the Team Canada sweater, as he ran through Parry Sound, and Johnny Pye off the horse. I mean, all my teammates, my friends. I mean,
yeah.
But the early ones were special because I really hadn't. People are coming in now and giving me more photos of my parents.
So there's a sequel
coming?
I
wish I'd had them earlier because there are some great ones, but I really enjoy them all. And the Salaps one was great. But if you look at the other photo where we're with the 5-6 young kids having sodas, that was in Gananoque after we were beaten in Gananoque. We went to have sodas with the team that beat us. Again, we're smiling. That's minor hockey. That's minor hockey.
It's a great book and a great. We think of memoirs in words, but I can't think of a better memoir than all those photos. Thank you, Bobby.
Hey, how are ya? I got a question that I really wanna ask ya. Wait, don't hang up. I need to know, so I'm gonna try and push my luck. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, blue, black, or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like the dunk tank at the fair? I know it's a little strange, my obsession with your choice of footwear in the rain. I know that you're on TV, but I need you to put your boots up on the desk for me. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, blue, black, or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like the dunk tank at the fair? This is the part they call the bridge. A bridge has water under it. With rubber boots you can wade in the water. Just don't fall in. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, blue, black, or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like a dunk tank at the fair? Do you like the dunk tank at the fair? The dunk tank at the fair. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? No, seriously. Are you wearing your rubber boots? Don't hang up, please. Somebody. Hey? Anyone?